understand what was meant by ineffable and private. To the second question, he first responded that he never has qualia in his right affected hemisphere in everyday life, and only very rarely has qualia in his right field, when performing well in experimental conditions. But the researcher's follow-up questions prompted him to retract the latter claim. The team concluded that DY never experiences qualia. So it seems that we have exceedingly good evidence for thinking that blindsight is a case of perception without awareness. Let's turn now to grapheme color synesthesia. Gesenius is quite right that there are many unconscious processes involved in synesthesia. But typical cases of synesthesia are hardly unconscious processes. In fact, the only insight we have into synesthesia relies on perceptual reports combined with other tools, such as visual search paradigms and neuroimaging. As Gesenius points out, there is some evidence that synesthetes register colors before they become aware of them. But visual perception operates in exactly the same way. We register colors in the retina and the LDN, for example, before we become aware of them. However, we don't count these processes as perceptual processes because they do not ground action based on perception in neurotypical individuals. Likewise, even though the high-level processing, crosstalking, and feedback connections that are required for synesthetic experience to occur are not consciously registered, we shouldn't count them as unconscious perceptual processes unless they can ground action. Most of the cases discussed by Gesenius do not lend evidence to the hypothesis that these processes are perceptual processes. For example, about the pop-out cases in which 2's can be discriminated faster among a set of 5's when the 2's and the 5's have different synesthetic colors, Gesenius says, I quote, "Such cases indicate that synesthetic color experiences influence the perception of a grapheme. Specifically, they speed up the conscious perception of this grapheme. This in turn suggests that the synesthetic color experience is triggered before the target grapheme is identified." End of quote. However, the fact that the synesthetic color experience is triggered before the targeted grapheme is identified doesn't show that any unconscious processes involved in generating synesthetic experiences are perceptual processes. Quite on the contrary. The cases show that identification, that is, an action based on perception, is possible only once synesthetic experiences are generated. At the end of the paper, Gesenius discusses two traditional synesthesia studies, crowding and priming studies. In both cases, the visibility of the stimulus is decreased, and the studies show that synesthetes still have an advantage compared to non-synesthetes in terms of reacting to graphemes. They react significantly faster than non-synesthetes. The processes grounding the faster reactions are indeed potential candidates to be unconscious perceptual processes. One problem with crowding and priming studies, however, is that the stimulus still is weakly visible. In recent studies, however, we have demonstrated that higher synesthetes who don't have pop-out experiences locate hidden number sequences faster than non-synesthetes. This indicates that even though the synesthetic experiences of higher synesthetes are triggered by thoughts or visual images of graphemes and not by externally presented graphemes, the synesthetic subjects still unconsciously perceive externally presented graphemes as colored. One final case of unconscious perception that I want to mention here that Gesenius doesn't address is the case of vision for